What is going on in Memphis? What is going on in that beautiful city? I love Memphis. I love Tennessee. I love Nashville, Nash Vegas. I love all of it. And so these stories, first it was Eliza Felcher, which was horrific, or Fletcher, excuse me. It was Eliza Fletcher. And she was jogging and she was taken into a van and murdered. It was horrific. There are a bunch of joggers, a ton of them, that are going to be finishing her route in memory of her. And she seemed like a really sweet lady in all the videos. Mom of two, in her mid-30s, kindergarten teacher. She was super young. I mean, she went jogging, and she always went jogging. You know that she was dedicated because it was 4:30 in the morning. I only have one other friend that will go running at 4:30 in the morning. And she's also one of those marathoners. But just awful. And then, yet last night, this guy, 19 years old, live streams himself going on a shooting spree, killing at least 4 people. Police were looking for him forever. And I first saw the news of it because the video ended up being on Twitter and everything. I think they were trying to take it down as quickly as possible, but you can only go so fast. But it began, around 4:30, I think, Central Time. So for several hours until he was apprehended at 9 p.m., police in Memphis were telling people to shelter in place. I mean, he was walking right into different stores, opening the door, and then pointing a handgun and shooting people, live streaming it. And obviously, 19 years old with a handgun, not in legal possession at all. No retailer would have sold him that because he's 19. It's one thing if you're with a parent at the range, but that's it. So he had carjacked someone about 8:58 p.m., apprehended about 9:20 p.m. by Memphis and Shelby County Police after a high-speed chase. Now, I want to point this out because I know that this is a thing with BLM. There's these narratives that go out like, oh my gosh, these people, that the deciding factor as to whether or not someone brought into custody is shot or not, or if they're killed or just like brought into custody without injury is dependent upon race. Well, after the high-speed chase, when he was apprehended, he didn't fight with police. And he was taken into custody and they put him in the back of the police car. When you start physically tangling with police, that's when they're going to pull that trigger. And I wanted to put that out because there were a number of stories just in the past several years of white suspects who were shot and killed. There was a guy shot and killed at a gas station, white guy. And people were trying to raise I had people sending me emails about it, and they're like, oh, this is the same thing as and I'm like, no, it's not. He was fighting with police, black or white. You can't, especially if you lead people on a chase like that. This guy was running around shooting people, telling everybody he was on his account with his name, and he was showing his face on camera and then turning the phone around and showing exactly it was horrific. Don't go looking for those videos. I think there's things that people aren't meant to see. I think it just damages your soul, man. But they apprehended him. Now I'm looking at Memphis, and I'm going to tell you now, because I know some people, I think this is an issue of restorative justice, not an issue of race. Bottom line. I think Fletcher's murder was an issue of restorative justice, not an issue of race. I think this was an issue of restorative justice, not an issue of race. Restorative justice, the sort of justice that Democrats are pushing in major cities across America, is failing. New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Every major city that has really pushed these sorts of efforts, reduced bail reform in New York. Did you not hear how the police and even a number of prosecutors are saying, whoa, do you realize that the amount of repeat offenders that are brought in on felony firearm charges. We're talking violent offenders who are brought in with felony firearms charges. They're already prohibited possessors. They're getting nabbed again with a gun charge, and they're left to walk. That is not an exaggeration by any means. I welcome you to fact check me. You can find the video and the transcript of all these press conferences from all these police and these interviews with prosecutors and all local media across that state. It's one of the things that Kathy Hochul won't address. Eric Adams kind of does, but they stop short. They keep saying it's a gun violence problem. Gun violence isn't the issue. It's repeat offender violence, and this is no different in Memphis. That's what's happening in Memphis.